All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the surprisingly high-stakes science of water damage and professional restoration. And to make it real, we're going to use the highly specific environmental risks of Pleasant Grove, Alabama as our testing ground. Most of us just think of water damage as a super messy inconvenience. But as we'll see, mitigating it is actually a highly precise, literally scientific race against the clock.
We're going to follow the entire disaster to recovery arc. First, we'll cover Pleasant Grove-specific water risks, then we'll get into classifying water damage, emergency extraction protocols, the actual science of drying, and finally, the reconstruction phase. By the end, you'll see exactly how total chaos is methodically transformed back into order.
Section 1. Pleasant Grove's water risks. To truly wrap our heads around water damage, we first have to look at the perfect storm of local vulnerabilities right here in Jefferson County. It's really not just about a leaky pipe. It's about the specific environment that pipe is living in.
It's essentially a tale of two very distinct seasons. Pleasant Grove's subtropical climate means summer thunderstorms can just dump 4 to 5 inches of rapid rain out of nowhere. You combine that with expanding red clay soil and boom, you get intense hydrostatic pressure pushing water right through basement walls near Greenstone and Valley Creek. But then you contrast that with the winter threats. When temperatures drop below 32 degrees, it's a totally different crisis. Aging galvanized pipes in pre-1980 homes, especially if you're around areas like Old Jonesboro Road, can freeze up, rupture in uninsulated attics, and just dump hundreds of gallons of water into a home the second they thaw out.
But hey, it's not always a massive, cinematic storm or a bursting pipe, right? There are silent threats too. Think chronic issues, like slow HVAC condensate leaks in attics, or homes built before 1990 that are totally lacking proper crawlspace vapor barriers. These setups basically allow ground moisture to just sit there and condense on your wood framing. And the terrifying part? This chronic dampness creates the absolute perfect conditions for mold to colonize your floor joists in literally just 24 to 48 hours.
Moving on to Section 2, classifying water damage. The restoration industry definitely doesn't treat all water the same. They actually turn a messy disaster into a highly precise science through some very careful categorization.
The professionals follow these super strict IICRC S500 standards, meaning technicians have to instantly triage a situation using a specific matrix. Basically, water damage is categorized by contamination. Category 1 is clean water from a supply line, so no immediate health threat. But say a washing machine overflows, well, now you're dealing with Category 2 gray water. That requires antimicrobial cleaning because it can actually make you sick. And Category 3, that is black water. We're talking sewage backups or river floods. It is grossly contaminated, and pretty much any porous material touched by it has to be completely thrown out, not just dried. What's genuinely shocking here is that Category 2 water can degrade into highly toxic Category 3 in just 48 hours if you just leave it sitting.
And it goes beyond just contamination. Water is also classified by how deeply it absorbs into a home's materials. This brings us to Class 4 evaporation. A Class 4 event is incredibly tough to resolve because water has fully saturated materials with super low permeability. You can't just toss a fan over wet concrete, hardwood flooring, or plaster and expect it to dry out. It demands highly specialized techniques to forcefully pull that deep moisture out of there.
All right, Section 3, emergency extraction protocols. The absolutely crucial point here is what actually happens the moment a certified crew rolls up to a flooded property. How do they stop the bleeding?
60. That number is everything. 60 minutes. Because a single gallon of standing water weighs over 8 pounds. And every single minute it sits there, secondary damage is literally crushing and soaking your home. Hardwood warps, drywall crumbles, and those mold spores start waking up. This is exactly why local experts in Jefferson County actually guarantee a 60-minute emergency response time. Super-fast intervention is the only way to prevent secondary damage that can easily double your repair costs.
When the crew arrives, those first few hours are pure triage mode. Step 1, immediate source control. That means shutting off the supply line or throwing a tarp over the roof. Step 2 is aggressive standing water extraction, using these incredibly powerful truck-mounted pumps. And Step 3, ripping out soaked contents and wet carpet padding that just can't be saved. This rapid-fire sequence stabilizes the environment and stops mold dead in its tracks.
Section 4. The science of drying. Once that standing water is completely gone, we shift gears from urgent extraction to the very methodical science of coaxing moisture out. And honestly, this is where it gets super fascinating.
You absolutely cannot just wipe up a flood with a few towels. Technicians actually have to engineer a highly controlled microclimate right inside the home. By holding the temperature precisely between 70 and 80 degrees and keeping relative humidity under 50%, they create an environment that literally pulls trapped moisture out of the structural walls and into the air. Then it's continuously captured by massive commercial-grade dehumidifiers.
To pull this off, they bring in the big guns. Thermal imaging cameras let them make the invisible visible, hunting down hidden pockets of water inside wall cavities that are basically ticking mold time bombs. They pair those with calibrated moisture meters to track the exact drying progress day by day. And, of course, they strategically set up industrial air movers to blast air across all those wet surfaces.
But drying is an exercise in serious scientific patience. Look at how different materials respond. Carpets and surface moisture, they might be fine in 24 to 48 hours, but drywall takes 3 to 4 days. Trying to save a gorgeous hardwood floor from buckling takes up to a week of non-stop monitored dehumidification, and dense concrete can take up to 10 full days to dry out. You just can't rush physics, you know?
Finally, Section 5, the reconstruction phase. Once those moisture meters confirm that levels are safely below 15%, the actual rebuilding begins.
Okay, so here's the question every homeowner inevitably panics over. Who actually foots the bill for all this high-tech extraction and days of drying? Navigating that bureaucratic maze of insurance can be an absolute nightmare, but thankfully professional restoration companies actually step up and act as your advocate here.
They do this by handing over a meticulous amount of documentation. They supply the insurance adjusters with thermal imaging photos, incredibly detailed daily moisture mapping, and comprehensive estimator reports. Because they speak the exact technical language the adjusters need to hear, claims for sudden and accidental damage in Pleasant Grove are very often approved within 72 hours. This direct communication and billing process is a total lifesaver for avoiding massive out-of-pocket costs.
And the ultimate goal of this entire process is seamless restoration. Rebuilding means replacing the drywall, perfectly matching those existing trim finishes and paint colors, and making sure any compromised electrical and plumbing repairs are fully up to strict Alabama building codes. It's really about using one single company from that midnight panic call all the way to the final walkthrough, saving you the massive headache of juggling a dozen different contractors.
Water damage really is a relentless race against time. But armed with the science of extraction, the precise mechanics of structural drying, and a solid understanding of your local risks, you now know exactly what it takes to bounce back. So the most crucial question to ask yourself right now is this. Knowing what you know about Pleasant Grove's unique vulnerabilities, if your pipes burst tonight, are you truly prepared to stop the clock on secondary damage?